Welcome back. Today's topic is Polity 4. Today we are going to discuss fourth type of question that UPSC asks in prelims. As I said in last few videos, there are 6 types of questions that UPSC asks every year in prelims. They are based on meaning and features. Second type, to check whether you know the given provision mentioned in the constitution or not. Third type, by replacing words with constitution, parliament and president, etc. Fourth type, to check your logical thinking on real events. Fifth type, to check whether you can eliminate irrelevant options in the exam tension or not. Sixth type, to check your memory, that is based on facts. These 6 types UPSC asks every year in prelims examination. Today we are going to discuss 6th type, that is based on facts. There are 2 types of questions that UPSC asks. 1, easy questions. 2, medium and difficult questions. Here, if you know just facts, you can easily mark answer. Here, just facts will not help. You should know many facts and have logical thinking. These questions are more dangerous because you cannot eliminate options to derive solutions. Here you should know, if there are 3 options, you should know all 3 perfectly. Then only you can opt solution, and the solution will be right. Correct. Now come to the questions. Consider the following statements. The National Development Council is an organ of the Planning Commission. The economic and social planning is kept in the concurrent list in the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India prescribes the Panchayat should be assigned the task of preparation of plans for economic development, social justice. And now, which of the statements given above is or correct? C. NDC is an organ of Planning Commission. Now Planning Commission is abolished. Instead of Planning Commission, Niti Aayog is there. Imagine. If NDC is organ of the Niti Aayog, what you will opt? Is it correct or not? You should know correct fact here. And economic and social planning is kept in the concurrent list. This is pure fact. You cannot logically derive, you cannot do anything. You should know whether it falls under concurrent list or state list or union list. Otherwise you cannot solve this question at all. Even if you know this, if you make it as wrong, if you eliminate, so either these should be answered, either these should be answered. You should definitely know whether it is right or wrong, because it is however correct. So these type of questions are very difficult to solve in examination. If you know, you should tick it, otherwise you should not attempt. So but however, this is not organ, it is true. This is wrong, because NDC is an extra constitutional body. It advises to the planning commission. It was advising to the planning commission, now to Niti Aayog, whatever. And economic and social planning falls under concurrent list. It is true. And the Constitution of India prescribes the panchayat should be assigned the task of preparation of plans for economic development and social justice. This is also true. So answer is B. Here, by only facts you can solve this question, otherwise you should leave this question. Many people would have known this is not an organ, because it is a extra constitutional body and advisory body to the planning commission, Niti Aayog. But many people would have not known that economy and social planning will fall under concurrent list or not. Because UPSC asked about economic and social planning, may not ask now, but you should check about health falls under which list. Police force will falls under which list. Law and order will fall under which list. Whether disaster management falls under which list, but it doesn't fall under any list, because it has not mentioned among 3 lists, that is concurrent list, union list, state list. So you should know this. Tomorrow UPSC may ask in 2021 prelims saying that it falls under union list. You should not opt it as true. It is wrong. It does not fall under any list. Now come to the second question. The Parliament can make any law for whole or part of India for implementing international treaties. See, these question looks very easy, because you may feel it is directly from polity, Lakshmikant book. But in exam sometimes what happens, because we may not have read, some of the aspirants would have not read these particular provisions clearly. How they feel, we'll discuss that in these options. With the consent of all states, it is wrong. Definitely many aspirants will make it wrong. With the consent of majority of states, maybe they may feel, because they would have read this constitutional amendment chapter, they felt that okay, majority is there, majority of state is there when it harms federalism. So they may take this option into consideration. With the consent of the state concerned, maybe they may take this also as consideration, because international treaty may affect only some states. So those states should give consent to the Parliament to frame laws. Without consent of any states, majority of aspirants may eliminate this option. So how to deal with this? Here you should remember the provision, these provision. It is in, I guess, central and state relations. It clearly mentioned in when center can frame laws on the state list. There are 5 points. In that 5 points, I guess this is the last point. So answer is D. Without the consent of any state, Parliament can frame a law for implementing international treaties. Why? Because this is required only when it affects the federalism, right? International treaties will not affect the federalism. So it is wrong. All consent of all states, it is wrong. By our real life experience, we can say it is also wrong because we never heard all state required to give consent. So we will be remaining with these two options. In this, you cannot do anything until unless you know the fact. So answer is D. So this type of questions, only if you know you have to opt, otherwise you should leave. Here, which of the following is the largest committee of the parliament? See, what some aspirants will do when they are reading parliament chapter, they might have come across about these committees. They would have read their functions, who will appoint the chairperson, whether the minister can be member or not, all these things. But they would have even read how many members are from Lok Sabha, how many members are from Rajya Sabha. But in examination, when you see this type of question, largest committee, we may tend to get confused whether committee of public accounts has 22 or whether committee on estimates has 30, whether committee on public undertaking has 22. We may get confused in these numbers in exam tension. So when you are preparing for these topics, when you are reading these topics, you should remember precisely the numbers and number of Lok Sabha people in the committee, one number of Rajya Sabha MPs in the committee. You should precisely remember, otherwise you get confused. Otherwise, this is a very easy question. If you remember, right, it is very easy question. You can directly opt answer as B because it has 30 members and all members are from Lok Sabha only. Come to the fourth question. With reference to the union government, consider the following statements. The Department of Revenue is responsible for the preparation of union budget that is presented to the Parliament. No amount can be withdrawn from the Consulate Fund of India without authorization of Parliament of India. All the disbursement made from the public account also need authorization from the Parliament of India. Here you should know that two facts about this, because most of the people know this. They would have read in appropriation bill. Okay, without passing the appropriation bill, you cannot draw money from the Consulate Fund of India. Okay, so this is correct. But if you remove, this is correct, right? Everywhere 2 is there, 2 is there, 2 is there, 2 is there. So you cannot answer by just knowing this option. So it is very difficult. So definitely you should know whether this statement is correct or not, this statement is correct or not. If you think all the disbursement made by the public account also need authorization of the Parliament, is wrong, because there is all. Otherwise you have never said that there is requirement of authorization to draw money from public account. If you say this is also right, then 2 and 3 you are saying right. 2 and 3 answer is there. But what about 1? Shall we keep D or 2 and 3? You don't know, because you should confirm, you should make yourself confident to say this option is wrong. But you cannot say it because it is completely based on facts. It is Department of Revenue or Department of Economic Affairs. Which one? It is Department of Economic Affairs. So this is wrong. So answer is B. This is a classic example where you should know every option clearly. Sorry, this is wrong. So answer is C. This is wrong, this is wrong. This is correct. Answer is C. By just knowing this is wrong, you cannot even get answer, because this option can be eliminated. What about this and this? You should know whether one is right or wrong. Only if you can say both are wrong, then you can arrive answer as C. Otherwise you cannot. Otherwise you should simply eliminate it. You should not attempt this type of question. Come to the fifth question. Consider the following statements. The executive power of the Union of India is vested in the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is ex officio chairman of the Civil Service Board. Which is correct here? So here 99% people know that this is wrong, because it is not Prime Minister, it is President. What about this? How many people would have known? Here you should know clearly who is that person, chairman of the Civil Service Board as a civil service aspirant. Who is he? He is Cabinet Secretary. So this is also wrong. So answer is D. If you think in examination Prime Minister is will be head of Civil Service Board, then it's a trap question, because this is nowhere mentioned in the polity, and nowhere this type of topics will be covered in any newspaper. So we may tend to think that maybe Prime Minister is head of Civil Service Board, because in exam tension we may tend to think like this. So you should not fall trap. If you know these clearly, then only you should tick, otherwise you should not. So answer is D. Consider the following statements. The Chief Secretary in a state is appointed by the Governor of that state. Chief Secretary in a state has a fixed tenure, purely based on facts plus logical thinking. It's very dangerous question. These type of questions, you should, if you are very confident, then only opt, otherwise you should not. Why? Because Chief Secretary of State, who a senior IAS officer, who is already appointed by the President after clearing UPSC. So he will be appointed by the respective CM, Chief Minister of the state, not by the Governor of that state, because the Chief Secretary is not constitutional or extra constitutional body or statutory body. Okay. And the Chief Secretary in a state has a fixed tenure. When someone is appointed by the CM, that person will never have fixed tenure, because it is based on political needs. So his term can be extended also. So both are wrong. Answer is D. So some logic is there and also facts are there. So you should opt for D. If you are very much into daily life politics or into your state politics, then definitely you will opt this. For you it is very easy question. One more question completely based on facts. With reference to the Gram Nyayalaya Act, which of the following statements is or correct? As per the Act, Gram Nyayalayas can hear only civil cases and not criminal cases. The act allows local social activists as mediators and reconciliators. See, logically you can conclude this option is correct. How? Gram Nyayalay means what? Gram means decentralized system. In decentralized system, definitely the local social activist or some other people will be included to provide justice in transparent manner. You can think like this logically. Okay, you can say this might be correct in examination. Okay, but what about this? This is purely fact. So this is also most dangerous question. You may keep it correct or goes wrong. So if you know this, then only you can attempt, because you logically concluded this option as correct. You should not think this might be also correct and say answer is C. You should not think like that. You should have clear idea whether this is correct or not. This is wrong because first schedule will deal with civil cases. Second schedule of Gram Nyayalay deals with the criminal case. So answer is B. Now come to the question number 8. Consider the following statements. Election Commission of India is 5-member body. The Union Minister of Home Affairs decides the election schedule for the conduct of both general elections and by-elections. Election Commission resolves the dispute relating to splits mergers of recognized political parties. Here, which is easily can be eliminated, which option you can easily eliminate, logically which you can eliminate, whether you know the concept or not, that is different case. Logically which you can eliminate, Election Commission. Election Commission is a body which conducts the elections, right? Means what? It must be having the powers to decide election schedules also. Okay, so you can eliminate these two. Second option, logically you can eliminate, whether you know fact or not. By thinking about Election Commission of India, you can eliminate this. When you eliminate this, 2 is gone, but you should definitely know about 1 and 2, because there is 3 only is also there. So whether 3 is correct, Election Commission resolves the dispute relating, so any election disputes will be resolved by the Election Commission. This is direct point from the Lakshmikant polity from Election Commission of India chapter. It is a direct point. So you will say this is correct. What about this? This point is also mentioned in the Lakshmikant. But what if you don't remember? It's very difficult to solve this question. Either you should leave it or blindly you can take risk. But blindly taking risk will fetch you wrong, negative marks. So better you should leave it, because this first option, right, this is the first option which is in the first page of Election Commission. Okay, some may remember, some may not remember. Some may remember who will appoint Election Commission, what are the functions of Election Commissions, his removal process, his qualification, which doesn't mentioned in the Constitution. Okay. And what else they will remember? His independence. Okay, Election Commissioner, Chief Election Commissioner, independence. These people may generally people remember about this guy. Many may not remember Chief Election Commissioners. How many years he will hold office? 6 years or 65 years, whichever is first. May not remember, because in constitutional body section there are many constitutional bodies, and each constitutional body will have different body chairman, will have different service conditions, so it is very difficult to remember. And second one is how many members in that body are. This is also very difficult to remember. For that, to remember these 2 points, you should revise a lot of times. Here this one is wrong. Answer is, this is wrong. Answer is D, because here it is just 3. Now, 9th question. With reference to the Parliament of India, consider the following statements. A private member's bill is a bill presented by the member of Parliament who is not elected but only nominated by the President of India. Recently, a private member's bill has been passed in the Parliament of India for the first time in its history. See, logically, for the first time in its history, you may think, how come it possible since 1952, since the first elections, at least one parliament private bill must have passed. We can think like this in exam. At least one government must have entertained and passed it. At least one. We may think like this, and you can logically conclude that this is wrong. But what about this? Who is not elected but only nominated member by the President of India? Is it correct or wrong? It is only the fact. It is also actually a direct question. There is one tabular column, I guess, in Parliament chapter, I guess. Yes, in Parliament only. There will be private bill and public bill. It will differentiate what is private bill and what is public bill. We read 4 points, I guess. You can check. Okay. Here, they would have written the sentence. The private bill is a bill which is moved by a member of the Parliament who is not minister. He can be from the ruling party or opposition party. He is an ordinary MP. So this is also wrong. So answer is D. Just for information, till now 14 private bills has been passed. Okay. Instead of private bill, this year they may ask about number of times parliamentary session has been suspended so far. Number of time question hour has been suspended so far, because these are in news. For this you have to find answer, though I know I don't want to say, because you should search by yourself. They may ask by just replacing these words by question hour or by parliamentary sessions. So come to the 10th question. Which of the following suggested that governor should be an eminent person from outside the state and should be a detached figure without intense political links, or should not have taken part in politics in the recent past? First, ARC, Rajamannar Committee, Sarkar Rai Commission, National Commission to review the working of the Constitution. All these recommended reforms in central and state relations. So it is very difficult to eliminate these options, because all are established for the central and state relations. You should precisely know which commission has recommended the above mentioned reform. Otherwise you cannot answer this question. It is better to leave this question in exam hall if you don't know. But however, answer is Sarkar Rai Commission. But my request is you should at least read Sarkar Rai about Sarkar Rai Commission, which is there in Polity Lakshmikant, and Poonchi Commission. It is also in Lakshmikant, and remember them. Polity Lakshmikant, and you should remember some of the important points, because it's very difficult to remember all Poochie recommendations. There are more than 40-50, I guess. You should remember at least important points. So come to, you should also remember which of the following, if they ask which of the following committees are established for recommending center and state relations. For that you should at least remember all the headings of center and state relation committees, which is given in the Polity Lakshmikant book in 13th about the center and state relations chapter. So come to the 11th question. Consider the following statements about the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. The particularly vulnerable tribal group reside in 18 states and union territory. A stagnant or declining population is one of the criteria for determining PVTG status. There are 95 PVTGs officially notified in the country so far. Irregular and Kondareddy tribes are included in the list of PVTGs. Which of the statements given above are correct? So here logically you can conclude this as correct answer, because stagnant or declining population, if there are very less number of population, if in a community the population has been declined, at present number has came down from 1000 to 10, then this community will be declared as PVTGS in tribal communities. So this logically you can conclude, okay, 2 is correct, but 2 is in almost in every option, so you cannot opt for the answer. So whether you know this or not doesn't matter now. You should know either 1 is correct or not, either 3 is correct or not. Because if you know this is wrong, then you can eliminate and you can say this is right. If you think 3 is wrong, confidently if you say 3 is wrong, then you can eliminate 3 and you can conclude C is right. But whether you know this 4th one or not doesn't matter now. So these type of questions are very, very, very difficult questions. If you know clearly only you have to attempt, otherwise 100% you should leave this question. It doesn't matter whether you logically concluded this or not. Here the logical element will help you only when you know these facts, otherwise it will not help. So this one is correct, this one is correct, this one is wrong, because this is not 95, this is 75, and this one is correct. So answer is C. Now 12th question. With reference to the Legislative Assembly of a state in India, consider the following statements. The governor makes a customary address to members of the House at the commencement of the first season of the year, of the first session of the year. This is mostly correct. Everybody will come to know this by reading Governor's chapter in polity. You can easily conclude that this is correct, because directly taken from the polity book Lakshmikant. When a state legislature does not have a rule on a particular matter, it follows the Lok Sabha rule on that matter. This is very difficult to conclude unless if you know it perfectly, if you have read it somewhere, because it is not there, some provisions are not there in legislative books. There is no guarantee that, there is no compulsion that they have to follow Lok Sabha rule. They might follow, they may not follow. So what is the answer? You cannot derive it even if you think for 1 hour. If you take any logic also, you cannot think. So answer, you should eliminate if you don't know it. You should not attempt it if you don't know it. However, answer is, this is wrong. Answer is A. Moreover, this option is not even mentioned in any polity Lakshmikant chapter. Very difficult to attempt this option. Come to the 13th question now. The preamble to the Constitution of India is a part of the Constitution but has no legal effect, not a part of the Constitution and has no legal effect either, part of the Constitution and has the same legal effect as any other part, a part of the Constitution but has no legal effect independently of other parts. Here Lakshmikant polity book talks about non-enforcement of the preamble, and it is not a source of power for the legislature, and it will not prohibit powers of legislature also. So from this you can clearly say that it has no legal effect. Okay. Through Keshavananda Bharati case, you can say that it is part of the Constitution. But the book doesn't talk about whether it has no legal effect independently of other parts, or just it is saying no legal effect. The confusion arises among these two, which to opt. Many people would have opted A because they would have not thought no effect independently of the other part will be correct, because it is not mentioned in the book anyway. So they would have eliminated this, they would have opted A. But answer is D. This is most tricky question, and it is a trap, and it is very difficult even to think like this, whether something will be like this, because we all can just think all these logics whatever I have given about the case, about the court judgment, about the prohibition on powers of the legislature, a source of power. By thinking all these things, you can say this is right. You can think about no legal effect, but independently of other parts we don't know. So these type of questions are very, very difficult to solve in examination, the two in the tension, in that stress. So it's better to leave. But answer here is D. If you know it, then you can opt it. Otherwise, you should leave it. In India, legal services authorities provide free legal service to which of the following type of citizens? A person with annual income less than 1 lakh, transgender with an annual income less than 2 lakhs, a member of other backward classes with an income less than 3 lakhs, and all senior citizen. Who are these all senior citizens? Logically you can eliminate this option, because imagine if Mukesh Ambani is 60 plus, he will also become senior citizen. Do you think Mukesh Ambani need free legal service? No, right? So definitely you can eliminate 4 4. When you eliminate 4 4, this option is gone. So here 2 is automatically correct. So now you will be left with whether this is correct or this is correct. You should know among these two at least one is correct. So blindly you cannot opt for answer. Logically, you can not derive an answer. It is just based on fact. Logically, here it has helped you to arrive to eliminate two options, but you should, through facts, you have to arrive only one option now. What is that option? So you can eliminate member of other backward classes, because for backward classes there is no free legal services. It is for SC and ST people. So answer is A. This is purely based on fact plus logical thinking. Through logical thinking, you can eliminate two options. By fact, you can bring out one correct answer from remaining two options. Again, I am saying these type of questions, facts based, the two based on fact plus logical thinking. It's very difficult to solve. Only if you are very strong in facts you can solve. Otherwise, you should not take risk. You should leave them in the exam. Questions which are just based on facts, mostly these type of questions will be easy questions. These questions will be based on mostly fundamental rights, directive principles, or fundamental duty. So these can be easily solved. But every year UPSC will ask medium and difficult fact based questions, at least 3 to 4. So 6 or 8 marks. For today, that's it. Thank you.